City of Vancouver has revealed just how much of a mess it's in as a result of cost overruns at the 2010 Athletes Village.
The city's also come up with a desperate measure to save the troubled project, and you can probably guess who's going to pay for it. CTV's Stephen Smart is following the trail of red ink tonight.
The signs outside City Hall say it all.
Urgent and delicate.
And if you don't want to believe what you read, the message given inside isn't any better.
Our completion guarantee requires us to complete the project and get it done, and if the cost is $875 million, well then that's what it's going to cost us to assure that we actually get it completed.
Vancouver City Council held a special meeting this afternoon, making public the full financial picture surrounding the Olympic Village. To be blunt, the numbers are huge. Right now, the project is set to cost $875 million. The current shortfall between that amount and what's already been paid for by the developer and others is $458 million, a shortfall the city and taxpayers need to shoulder. Now that they know the full scope of the problem, the question becomes what to do about it. And unfortunately, as you might have guessed, the solution involves more of your tax dollars. The city is going to ask the provincial government for permission to borrow as much as $450 million to complete construction. The law requires the okay of taxpayers for such a large loan, but in this case, there's no time. The mayor wants a special exemption.
The intention right now is to get this project to stability and ensure that we can complete, that we have an absolute certainty on completion, that we know where the funding is coming from for the balance of construction.
As for who's at fault here, talk of firing key officials responsible is swirling around City Hall. The former city manager, Judy Rogers, is already out. Others, such as this man, Deputy City Manager Jody Andrews, are a possibility. But first, the mayor wants to focus on getting the job done.
There is no indication that we won't be able to complete the Olympic Village. I think we're going to have to really bear down on the construction side. The snow has been an additional complication, but the crews are working hard at this.
So while the project will likely be done for the games, it's a different story for taxpayers who will likely still be paying the bills long after the torch goes out.
Now, Stephen, do you expect the province will give the green light for such a huge loan?
Well, Pamela, that light isn't green yet, although from the city's perspective, it had better turn quickly. We did catch up to both the Premier and the Prime Minister this afternoon to ask them about the situation. The Premier appears willing to consider the request. The Prime Minister, on the other hand, was a little colder on the idea of providing any more assistance.
When you're dealing with a thing that's this important, to get the information on the desk before you decide what you're going to do with it. We have been, as I mentioned, we've been working with the city. We will continue to do that. We're looking to be part of the solution. Mayor Robertson has been very open with us about the challenges that are in front of him. And when we get the council resolution, we'll be able to deal with it.
And I'll be crystal clear, we will not be funding cost overruns of the Olympic Village.
So that's the bottom line for now. The city will just have to wait and see what the province is willing to do. Although with the games and the construction deadline looming, any decisions will have to be made quickly. Pamela?
Thanks for this, Stephen.
Needless to say, many Vancouver taxpayers feel blindsided, even downright lied to about the Olympic Village. So why weren't we told about this sooner? And who's to blame? CTV's Shannon Patterson looks for answers.
When the Athletes Village was still just a dirt pile and a dream.
I think this is, just an incredible opportunity for the city of Vancouver.
There was nothing but praise for the politicians.
Council is to be heartily commended for being as bold as you are.
When the financial and real estate markets tumbled, we were assured the project's American lender Fortress was still on board.
Fortress were not worried about tanking. In contrast, they've affirmed their commitment to this project. They've confirmed their ability to continue funding and have the resources to see the completion of the village.
But in fact, Fortress had already stopped funding the Athletes Village. And 8 days later, in a closed-door meeting, Council unanimously approved $100 million taxpayer dollars to cover construction costs. Money that's already almost gone. Peter Ladner was chair of the Finance Committee when the deal went down. He didn't want to talk today. Former Mayor Sam Sullivan didn't either. The city manager has been fired. The director of finance quit. As for the councillors who approved the bailout. So you knew this in the fall, but you didn't say anything?
I can't. I'm bound to secrecy as a result of in-camera rules.
Even when a document was leaked calling the $100 million simply a loan guarantee, no one came clean. Why not correct the loan guarantee impression and tell people what was really going on?
Well, we did highlight the fact that we were uneasy with a number of situations here at the city. We were bound by, as elected officials, to secrecy.
We have to keep our mouths shut about negotiations. If you're buying a house and you've got $100,000 in your back pocket and they'll take $400,000, you don't want them to know that you've got $500,000 in your back pocket.
Now it's the taxpayer's pocket being picked for more than anyone could have imagined. Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Vancouver.
If the city ends up being forced to completely take over financing for the Olympic Village, experts fear that taxpayers could be on the hook for years. And as CTV's Mike Colleen reports, even if the sagging condo market picks up, it would take a long time for the city to recoup the losses.
Almost a week before sales began, they lined up, hoping to get a piece of what was billed as Vancouver's last waterfront community.
To see people line up for 5 days is a first.
Buyers eagerly put down big deposits on the first phase of the Millennium development. 250 luxury condominiums sold within hours. They ranged in price from $600,000 to $3.4 million. Back then, the condo market was booming, but it was nearing its peak. Since then,
we probably have seen roughly about a 10 to 15% decline from peak.
With the condo market in the tank, the value of the Millennium project has plummeted, and 500 units have yet to go on sale.
Unfortunately, a project that looks like a good idea just ran smack dab into the biggest downturn since the 1930s.
And he says if the city is forced to completely take over financing of the development, it's unlikely taxpayers will recoup that investment by 2010.
I'd be really surprised if they end up making money off of this, just because you look how much costs have gone up, you look how much prices have gone down, and if you look historically in Vancouver, from a peak, how long it takes to get back to that peak.
Even so, the development will be an asset, one this former mayor believes will flourish eventually.
2 or 3 years from now, this is going to bounce back, and the city has got the staying power. It's not a drain on the taxpayer.
That rosy prediction depends on a quick recovery of the real estate market. In the meantime, taxpayers can only hope that comes true. Mike Colleen, CTV News, Vancouver.